Hey y'all, it's Laura and I'm back with a Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team layout using the absolutely stunning new Storyteller collection. This collection was a collaboration between Zoe, who is the designer and owner of Cocoa Vanilla, and Tracy Reed, who does a significant number of digital designs at the moment. And I love her work. Love, love, love both of these designers equally. They are my favorites. And so I was thrilled to see that they were collaborating on this collection, and it turned out stunning. The colors in this collection are so beautiful. They're vivid, they're lovely, but they're not in your face, which is really nice that there's a nice little balance with this collection. So you definitely have some nice bright colors, but it's not wah in your face. And I really, really like that. So for this layout, I have 3 photos. My photos are selfies of me, and I had recently, in the last 6 months or so, dyed my hair pretty bright red. And just for fun, because I could. And really enjoyed it for the time that it was bright red. And decided to take some selfies. Had some fun taking pictures of myself and just kind of enjoying the bright, vivid color while I had it. And I decided to do a layout, just talking a little bit about how changing up my hair color makes me feel and what I thought about this one. And one of the things that I included in the journaling was that when my hair is a bright, vivid color, I always feel bright and vivid too. It just amazes me how something as simple as changing your hair color can just give you a little boost of self-confidence, a little boost of excitement about how you look. And you know what? I think we need that sometimes. And so I decided to scrap about it. Now, this first photo, the one you can currently see, is simply just a selfie. When I first dyed it, it is very red in this photo. And that's just a normal selfie. The other 2 pictures, though, have been put through a filter. So they have kind of a comic book look to them, or a cartoonish look to them, and I really thought that was so much fun. Had a lot of fun playing with some selfies using that sort of filter, and they just came out really cute, so I decided to print them out and to include them in this layout. Because this layout really just is about my hair, it doesn't matter if the photos get a little silly. Now, with multiple photos on a page, it can be very easy to overwhelm a 12 by 12 layout by putting more than 2 or 3 photos. So when I have 3 photos, I do tend to keep my embellishing and my design a little bit simpler so that I'm not competing with the photos. The whole purpose for me in scrapbooking is to tell those stories and to augment the photos, giving them a little extra pizzazz, a little extra fun, not to fight them. I'm not looking to create a layout that argues with my photos over what's the important bit on the page. The photos for me are always the important bit, and everything else is just a bit of fun. It's just a little bit of creativity added in. So I've created these 2 columns using some A5 paper from this collection, and I'm really just stacking it up. I initially thought that maybe I would just kind of throw it onto the desk and see how it landed and go for it. But as I was playing around with the different papers I had pulled, I really liked this sort of messy column configuration and thought I would give it a shot. Now, the column design is something that is fairly new for me, and I've tried it in a lot of different ways. In this particular way, it is 2 very separated and very small columns, but I have done columns that fill the page as well. Definitely go check out my Go-To Design series if you have not seen it to see more on that. Now I am adding this beautiful little navy border around this heart-shaped paper inside of my columns and using a little trick that I use to save paper, which is quite simply just to add some tape around the perimeter on the back of one piece of paper and then chopping up the other piece of paper into these little strips and taping it on. This allowed me to add a navy border to both of those heart-shaped papers with some navy paper left over, so I wasn't wasting a bunch of it hiding it back behind that heart paper. I do this because I am a total paper hoarder and absolutely love pattern paper. And navy is a personal favorite of mine, and so I do tend not to want to waste my navy paper at all. And that is exactly what I did here as well. Adding on this nice stripe behind, so just a little shadow of the stripe behind my columns. I did gut both of those pieces so that I can use a bit of those stripe on another layout. And I do that pretty often. I gut my papers fairly often to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my supplies. I think that if I'm willing to put in a little extra effort, I can stretch them a bit further. Now, I did accidentally tape this down unintentionally before I did my little fishtails at the end of these smaller columns. And this floral paper that I'm cutting right now actually came from the cut apart in this collection, and it has some lovely border strips, and this is such a great way to use those border strips. I always have people asking me, how do I use up border strips? How do I use them up other than the obvious? And this is a great way to do it. Make little flags. So I've made 4 little flags out of one 12-inch border strip and tucked them behind my columns. Absolutely love that little bit of detail on this layout. Now, I did want to add some journaling, and so I have dived into the journal cards to see what I can find. There were a lot of options and quite a few would have worked, but I end up going for one that has a really sweet little camera on it, and those cameras are delightful. I absolutely love the little floral detailing that's been added to all of the cameras in this collection. It just gives them a little extra spark of interest, and they're just so much fun. So I am going to layer this photo on the right side with my journaling spot to kind of mimic the stacked look of my other 2 photos on the left. I did consider this butterfly one as well, but end up going with the cameras in the end because I didn't want to cover up that little yellow butterfly. I love butterflies, and it hurts me a little to have to cover one up. Now, in keeping this layout fairly simple, I limited my major elements to what I consider necessities. So the photos, journaling, the title. Couple of small clusters, and that's it. It really didn't take me very long to put this one together once I had the idea formed in my head, and the detail work went very quickly because I pretty much filled both of my columns with both photos, the journaling, and the title. I didn't need to add a ton of extra embellishment. I do decide to bring in some florals because I am a floral girl. I do really, really enjoy florals and had entirely too much fun fussy cutting these florals out of the gorgeous, gorgeous patterned papers and out of the icon ephemera. I do tend to cut off the white border on florals or any icons really because I just prefer them without, but I think they work beautifully with a white border if you like that as well. I just prefer them without, so I take the time to fussy cut my ephemera as well. Now, here are my 2 photos on the left side that were using that little cartoonish app, and these came out so cute. I just love them. I'm not normally one to take a lot of selfies. I try to manage one every couple of months just so that I appear in my albums as well. But these came out really good, and then when I added the filter in the app, it was just entirely too much fun. They just made me giggle, they made me laugh, and so I was like, these are really cute. I've got to scrapbook them. Now, starting with a new collection, I do tend to want to use all of the things in the new collection. Shocking, I know. But I had to bring in at least one word from these gorgeous foam titles. These foam titles make me so happy. Not only do they have this beautiful mix of fonts, but they have little hearts that you can add to your clusters, which I did, and they have this lovely little swooshes and little detailed lines underneath of it that can add just such a really fun detail to your layout. Now, initially I was going to put a couple of foam hearts at the top of my columns, but I do end up swapping those out for wood buttons later, and I really am glad that I did that because the added detailing and just texture that those wood buttons add to this page, especially sitting on top of a wood grained background, just really made the whole thing come together so beautifully. Now, I initially thought, oh, we'll just do cute story using some more of the letters, but then I decided, no, it didn't really work for me. I just thought it felt a bit abrupt where cute met that photo. Like, it needed something a bit softer to slide underneath of that photo. And initially I thought I was going to use this little bit of chipboard, and then I ended up moving that to the other side of the layout and pulling something else in. But first I'm going to put those little cute letters back for a future layout. I did get very excited about that though. I really wanted to use all of the foam letters. They are just so pretty. So I considered this little banner at first, ended up moving that little heart to the end of story, and then I pulled in my ephemera and found a little bit longer of a banner that had a similar look, but it was a bit bigger, had a bit more of a presence on the page, and that worked so much better. Now, one thing I do really like about these foam letters is you can reshape them as you need to, and that made it very, very easy to incorporate an ephemera piece above them. This is what I like to call a mixed title, where you've got different types of embellishments used as a title, whether that's foam letters and words, or it's ephemera pieces or stickers, but I really like it when I can mix and match and put two very different types of titles together to make a longer title. So now to my clustering. So for my clusters, I did sort of assume I was going to bring florals. I do love florals. They are a weakness for me in my scrapping. I do love a good floral. I did want to bring in some other bits and pieces as well, especially things from the cut apart page in this collection, because I really enjoy a cut apart. I enjoy the fact that Zoe includes so many small detail pieces that can be used as embellishments as well as 3x4 cards. So it's a nice mix of embellishments, of borders, of little icons you can fussy cut into embellishments. I just think that that's such a great use for a cut apart paper, and I really enjoy it. Now, these little banners for me took this whole concept of these two columns to the next level. I absolutely love the detail that these little banners add to this design. I had not planned on using them, but while sifting through the embellishments, I just popped one of them next to my photo and went, oh, I really like that. Love when those little happy accidents happen and you just discover something really fun and cute in the midst of your scrapping. So because of the little banners that I've added at the bottom of the left column and at the middle of the right column, I really only need to put 2 clusters on this page, because those banners really add so much color and detail that I don't really need a whole lot more than that. Here's where I found that ephemera piece to tuck in there with story, so it says love this story, which is really, really cute. And then I'm going to move that little chipboard piece to the opposite column, so it still makes it onto the page, just in a different spot. And moving things around is something that I think really helps me to visualize the finished layout, and I don't tend to glue everything down until I'm at least roughly sure where it's going to go. These auditioning of embellishments, I think, really helps me to consider my options before I start gluing things down, but also it allows me to visualize what I might do on another layout. Like sometimes I'll get an idea from this auditioning process and it will stimulate a next layout. What is that? I want to try that on the next layout. Doesn't work for this one, but I'll try it on the next one. And so that's just a really fun way to figure out whether you like it, whether you don't, before you start gluing things down. Now, I do tend to tape down the background first, so all of my columns are taped down. My photos are taped down. But when it comes to the embellishing stage, I tend to wait until I'm sure where those things are going to go. So now that I have the majority of my bits and pieces together, I am going to go ahead and add these little buttons at the top of my columns. I do end up reusing those little black hearts onto other areas of the layout. Put one on this cluster at the right and added the other in the center of the camera on the journaling card, and then pop 2 of these smaller wood buttons up at the top of my columns. And how fun is that? I just love it. It kind of looks like they're push pinned into that wood grain paper. I love that look. Next, we're going to finish up with some scattering and splattering. I've already done my scattering with some teeny tiny fussy cut florals that I've added around my clusters. And now with my splattering, I do it in 2 stages, one with Gold Nouveau, and I'm going to add those around my clusters in small dots, as well as some larger dots inside of my florals, and then coming in with some gold ink spray to splatter around the outside, just going very lightly with this. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, bye y'all.